I'd like to begin by thanking the people who made this day possible. Our Alumni Association staff, Elise Reisman, Kinshasa Peterson, and Mabel Bermejo, and the Alumni Association officers and board and volunteers who make this day possible, led this year and every year when it comes to reunion weekend activities by the great Marge Goldsmith. Early in the morning of December 13th, 1985, thousands of nervous sixth graders lined up on the sidewalk, number 2 pencils in hand, waiting to take the Hunter test. I remember it being a frigid day. In truth, according to Today in New York weather history, it was not that cold. A high of 40, damp, a bit breezy. But the significance of that day made it seem colder to an impressionable 11-year-old. 4 months later, we received a thick envelope in the mail with a cover letter welcoming us to Hunter, and 250 of us began life together in the brick prison in September 1986. We, the 25th reunion class, were the last generation of Hunter students whose time was not controlled by technology. None of us had cell phones. 1 or 2 classmates had beepers for reasons unknown. By graduation, only a handful of us had used email. We used our landlines to study together from home or to communicate with our first boyfriends and girlfriends. Our first term papers were prepared on typewriters. College essays were printed on dot matrix printers unless a parent had access to a laser printer at work. We learned how to use the school darkroom in photography class, and we transitioned What's What and The Observer from hand layout with glue and razor blades to desktop publishing. We used the payphone outside this auditorium to get advanced word on college acceptances, rather than waiting till the end of the day and then taking a subway or 2, plus maybe a bus, to go home and open the mail. We started Hunter in the 1980s of Wall Street and Gordon Gekko's Greed is Good. Then the stock market had what we thought was a once-in-a-lifetime crash when we were in 10th grade. Hip-hop broke through to dominate pop music as we traded in our cassette tapes for shiny new CDs. Our teachers pointed out to us when the Times began to use the new title, Ms. Some of our earliest efforts as activists focused on homelessness, hunger, and the new disease of AIDS, which dominated public policy debates and popular culture and added an extra urgency to our sex ed classes. Nostalgia can be powerful, but this was also an era when getting mugged on the subway or the street was a real risk. For a while, we lived in fear of getting jumped by the Decepticons at 96th Street subway stop. Only at Hunter would one fear a gang reportedly formed at Brooklyn Tech. The headlines of the Daily News and the Post and New York Newsday, remember that? Were about the crime du jour, some of which, like the Preppy murder and the attack on the Central Park jogger, took place only a few blocks from here. Despite everything that was going on around in the city and the world, our focus was on what was going on inside Hunter's walls, in these classrooms, in the courtyard, and in the hallways where we camped out during free period and at lunchtime, where we played handball as 7th graders, and we later drank iced coffee, deconstructed the latest episode of Beverly Hills 90210, and complained about how much homework we had to do. In those classrooms, we were fortunate to have been taught by some truly great teachers who left their marks on us decades later. E. Ira Marinoff was at the peak of his powers, delivering his early morning tutorials to those of us getting ready to take the AP American History test without actually taking the course, and thundering his famous sayings. Imagine his views on the current state of politics and the media. He probably would invoke his famous equine paradox. Why are there more horses' asses than horses? To explain what's going on in Washington. Parker Barada taught us Shakespeare and Dostoevsky while sharing all sorts of un-PC observations about the world of literature, members of the school community, and the wider world. No one who had Sue Eichler for social studies during the digital watch era would forget to set his or her cell phone to silent mode before a theater performance. We helped break in some great teachers of the next generation, like Joan Kenyon, who demanded so much from us and who taught us to become critical writers and readers, whether she was teaching us about modern Arab politics or the causes of the French Revolution. Moving from the right brain to the left, we were fortunate to have science and math teachers who showed us that these too are creative fields. We first grew to love math in classes taught by Linda Abudi, Geraldine Ganzikoffer, and Mark Nadel, and many of us continued all the way through BC Calculus with Sheila Strauss and Hal Weinstein, who showed us how amazing advanced mathematics could be. We learned to become true research scientists under the guidance of Bobby Brickman and Bob Goodman, Fran Salzman, Larry Borton, and the Alumni Association's own Marge Goldsmith. That so many of our classmates entered scientific fields, medicine, technology, research, and science education is a credit to these great scientist teachers. And we gave our energies to every form of extracurricular activity, where some of our strongest bonds of friendship were formed. We led teams to Manhattan titles and top city rankings in a range of sports. We helped bring back the Hunter United Nations Society 2 years before Bill Clinton declared that he never inhaled, but some model ambassadors from Hunter had. Nurtured by great art and music teachers like Julie Reifer and Allison Schiff, our class advisors, Linda Bell and Campbell Austin, some of us used acting in musical rep, Brick Prison Playhouse and HTE productions, studio art time, performing at Arts Days, or singing in the choruses and Revelation as launching pads for careers in the arts. Some student journalists became professional writers. And some of us just look back at our high school activities and think that we should really run more. Or maybe there's time to try out for a community theater production. Maybe when the kids are a little older or work is a little quieter. We look back at our time in the brick prison with gratitude for the rich and challenging education that we received. But most of all, we look back at the experience of being part of a small class for 6 years, and for some of us who are also elementary school graduates, being part of the same school community for more than twice as long. We will not have the opportunity to be members of such an intense and intellectually engaged long-term community again. Today, we members of the class of 1992 are older, obviously. Some of us are grayer, paunchier, or bolder. Some of us are all three. One of our classmates took out her reading glasses to review a draft of this speech. One of our classmates is on the Hunter faculty, and one classmate is a member of both the Alumni Association and the Hunter PTA. Tonight, we'll gather at a bar downtown and toast our fellow classmates, our high school memories, and our alma mater. And we'll look forward to reuniting 5 years from now. Thank you.